Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Direct Insurance Podcast, otherwise known as DIP, a podcast for independent insurance agents brought to you by Insurance Advisors Direct. My name is Kelsey. I am the digital marketing assistant as well as social media strategist for IAD. And today I have an extremely special guest. I have here Miss Joanne Giardini from Giardini Medicare. So, Joanne, please go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about you.
Well, thank you, Kelsey. It's always fun. So, Giardini Medicare, we're located here in Michigan. We've got, 6 or 7 agents, maybe a staff of about 11 total, and all we do is Medicare.
Ooh.
Yeah, so we've seen you all around. We use Jason as our FMO, and life is pretty good.
Yeah, good. Awesome. Well, I'm actually here to sit down with Joanne today because we were talking about TikTok for Medicare agents. And I know that a lot of Medicare agents would sit out there and say like, oh, well, why in the world would I need to be on TikTok? Like seniors aren't on TikTok. There's only kids on TikTok. Well, considering the fact that you have a TikTok following of 50-something thousand?
Over 58,000 now.
58,000 followers. Yeah. So that's a lot of people.
That's a lot of people learning Medicare on TikTok.
Oh yeah. So the senior population, they're on TikTok.
Absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
I think that a lot of them might have joined just because either they were very curious about what the kids were doing and maybe they just wanted to see and maybe they got sucked in. But the crazy thing about TikTok's algorithm is that the longer that you watch a certain type of video, the algorithm will then recommend more content to the user based on what they're previously watching, who they follow, what sort of content that they're engaging with, whether it be likes, shares, comments, stuff like that. So the more often that you get people that are watching your videos, that's really how you're growing. And growing by producing really educational content that really helps educate the consumer is kind of what helps your platform grow. So let's go ahead and dip into some insurance. And I would love for you, Miss Joanne, to tell me what forms of lead generation have you and your agency done in the past? And what did you find was bringing you success over the last couple of years?
Well, since we started, we've been very fortunate enough to really generate our own leads. We work our tail off to generate our own leads. It's not like they just happen. We do a lot of working with financial planners, credit union, webinars, things like that. So we've always been in that space for years, and that was very successful in its own. My son Cameron does our YouTube channel. That started at least, probably 4 or 5 years ago. And that's been a real driver for a lot of our kind of like initial social media success, I think. We have a Facebook page. We don't spend a lot of time with it. I don't know if Facebook just had its day, in terms of all the ads and things like that. So we don't purchase leads. We've just been able to self-generate. And, but at the end of the day, you got to do a good job to also get those referral things. So TikTok was just sort of an add-on from that. So, but that's our history of lead generation.
Yeah. Do you find that discovering TikTok, what was kind of your initial thoughts on TikTok before you opened an account and started using it for Medicare?
Well, it was hilarious because I had a personal TikTok account. I'm 57, right? So I don't know why. I had it on my phone probably a couple of years. And one day I just started looking at it. And I found myself just either laughing at just dumb little clips. And I just was laughing. So one night I remember this was last April. And I sent Cameron a TikTok. He does our YouTube. He's 29, lives in San Diego. And I sent him a TikTok that I found entertaining for some reason, whatever. And he writes back and he texts me back. He's like, oh my God, you're on TikTok. And I just started cracking up like, yeah, so. And he goes, why don't you do that for work? And I'll do my YouTube and stuff like that. And I'm like, well, and I had seen, there's a couple other Medicare folks doing TikTok. So I looked at that and I'm like, well, I could do that. So it was really pretty funny. So I started that. So I had the account and then made one for the business and things like that. So I just started doing that in the beginning, just a couple weeks in. I was super lucky, of course, because you never know with that algorithm, right?
Oh, yeah.
So it's crazy. So all of a sudden, one of my clips hit 1 million views. Just that's what kind of burst it into. And then it was my daughter. My daughter's 27. She's an agent of ours as well. And she's like, there's no way TikTok is going to work for us. There's no way. And she is blown away. And the TikTok people are great to work with. So we get doctors and lawyers and smart people, and they're just using it as a search engine, and they're getting educated. And a lady just the other day wrote me, and she's like, I said something like, hey, you're on the right path. And she goes, I'm on the right path because I watch your videos all the time. Mm-hmm. So they become this little cult of watching you. And one lady said, I watch as soon as you do a live, I tell my husband I have to go watch my Medicare show, and she bugs out to her bedroom. So it's hilarious what they tell you. And we've gotten last July 1 is pretty much when we started tracking. And we have at least 100 clients that are actually enrolled clients from TikTok. We've referred 250 people out to agents we know in the country that we have a good partnership with, a person in Missouri. And then we have about close to 300 leads in our system that are really solid leads, like meaning they're turning 65 in November from TikTok.
Yeah.
So when you start doing that and laying out the numbers, I think we hit about close to 1,000 people a year extra.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That we wouldn't have hit had it not been for TikTok. And then it also just really enhances our social media, because I can then do a TikTok and say, because we also do a podcast. So I'll do TikTok sometimes, just say, hey, go to our podcast on Apple. Here it is, type this in, blah, blah, blah. And then we push them over to that. So you can use it to push your message and push your other things that you're doing. We had a webinar last Tuesday and I had the replay. So I went on TikTok on Wednesday and said, hey, if anybody wants it. And I had 25 people email me saying, can I have a copy of the webinar? Yeah. And they think it's so cool because they're talking to the TikTok person. So it's hilarious.
Oh, it's like you're your own celebrity at this point. You get to a certain point where you have so many people that are following you, and they see you almost as like, I don't want to say like they don't idolize you in a certain way, but in a certain other way they kind of do, because they really value the information that you're able to give to them. And to other Medicare agents or to any other industry professionals, they're like, oh, well, I mean, I already know all this stuff. It's like, yes, you do, because you've got the experience in it. You educated yourself. You took the time and the energy and found the resources to be able to gather all of this information to bring you to where you are today.
Right.
But the average consumer, they don't know anything about that stuff. I mean, as consumers, we're all kind of experts in our own fields, Obviously, a person who's a doctor probably doesn't know very much about dentistry, whereas like obviously your dentist doesn't know very much about being a chiropractor, and it's like we all are kind of like our own experts in certain ways. But the consumer, to them, Medicare is a foreign language. Like they have no idea. So being able to see someone online who's able to explain things to them in short, quick, bite-sized pieces of information, and to really help educate them in ways that are searchable and ways that are fun to watch as well. I mean, shoot, even you've taught me so much about Medicare just from watching your videos, and I'm like, oh, Joanne's on.
And that's what happens, and they do. And I've noticed too. And now, of course, some are silent stalkers, and they don't tell you who they are. But a lot of agents that are new are on TikTok to learn, which is smart. Yeah. I mean, I think back when we started learning Medicare, oh my gosh, we were all over, Danielle Roberts and the Boomer Benefits in Texas. We saw every single one of her videos that we could possibly do because she was teaching us Medicare. She's a competitor friend now, but she's, she taught us a lot of Medicare. So, I do have messages coming in the inbox too from other agents. So it's like, if you're a new agent, go learn on TikTok. Go learn. I mean, there's 15 people that do great YouTube videos. There's no way you can't learn Medicare these days. It's so much easier.
I think that's a great way to learn any sort of information or any craft, is really just looking online. As long as you know really what to look for, it's really easy to find the information because it's all out there. Right. I try to explain to agents every day that you are not only competing for like the business of your target audience and for your customer, but you're also competing for their attention as well. And you're competing for their attention not only from other Medicare agents or other industries professionals, you're competing for their attention from every brand on the planet, because every single business is kind of trying to do pretty much like the same thing, and it's very oversaturated and it can be very hard to grow. But one of the main things that will help you become successful is consistency, just like how you would in any business plan. Same thing goes for social media.
Definitely. It's a part-time job. It became a part-time job for me last summer.
Oh yeah.
It is. It's a good 15 hours a week.
Yeah. It's a lot of time. It's a lot of energy, but at the same time,
it's worth it.
Yeah, 100%.
Totally worth it.
Do you have any pet peeves about using TikTok?
I really don't. And now they've just added, I don't know if you've noticed in the last couple of weeks, the 10-minute clips. You can do up to 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So I had one that was 6 minutes now. So I'm toying with that, where I could do a mini webinar in 10 minutes. I mean, really can. So I'm going to record some of those, but very, very few pet peeves, really. Right now, we're living the whole fiasco of TikTok's going to get banned, all that kind of stuff, that's super irritating just because my own personal stuff on that. But no, I think it's a great platform. It's easy to use. And I just use the cheapy version. I use my phone. I don't do anything special. I'm not doing extra editing. So you can, it's you go back to the grassroots and it's free. I spend 15 hours a week of my free time, and it generates a ton of stuff for us.
Yeah.
So, if you don't have the 15 hours, don't do it, right? If you don't like being, don't be afraid to be on camera. A lot of people are like that, right? I don't want, and I've had people criticize my hair, my whatever, so I don't care. Not many people either, but you got to be prepared for that stuff. So,
yeah, you do have to kind of have a thick skin.
You do a little bit. Right.
I think that just in general, if you're working with the general public,
Sure.
or if you're in any sort of job where, you're kind of opening yourself up to people and to really just like expose it. I don't want to say exposing yourself, but putting yourself out there.
You're putting yourself out there.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You do have to kind of accept the fact that there are going to be the critics out there, and they're not going to be nice, but
right.
you kind of just have to be able to take
it with a grain of salt.
Yeah,
and it's like difference of opinion. Even if I say something about Medicare supplements and they love Medicare Advantage, they'll start fighting with you a little bit. Like, who cares? There's two sides. So I'll present the next side now. And so answering questions, there's some skill to TikTok too, a little bit, where you have to be interacting with your consumers there. If you don't answer any questions, right? If you don't, then you're not going to get out of it what you think you're going to get out of it. It's just not post a video. You got to post a lot too. In the beginning, I posted 3 times a day.
Yeah.
I mean, that gets a lot of filming, a lot of, even though they're 1 or 2 minutes, it's still a lot, as just to do the basic,
Yeah, I know.
Right. It takes a lot to
video
just create
content
that.
takes a really long time to produce. We'd actually talked on a previous episode with Tiffany. She's the bougie budget mom on TikTok. So she's got over 100,000 followers. And so she kind of dove into the content creation process. And we talked about really how much time it takes to produce video content. And it does take a long time. And a lot of people don't see the time and effort behind that until you actually start doing it. And that's the reason why, even for YouTube, there are tons of people that try to start a YouTube channel because they're like, oh, well, I know lots about this and I could make money off of that because lots of people are making a ton of money on YouTube.
Right.
But then they actually start doing it.
Yeah.
And then they don't follow through with it because it's so much time.
YouTube is very tough. And TikTok, just so everybody hears, it's not nearly as much as YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
Cameron does the YouTube, and a video will take a whole week to produce.
Oh, yeah.
TikTok's not like that. And you can do it on the fly. You know what I mean? I could do it right here and have something posted in 10 minutes. So it's different, but you have to, the thought has to be there. The thought bubble as to what you want to say and then saying it and, put your little captions and stuff on there. But I was pleasantly surprised, of course, when it happened. And I just still, and even, today I got 3 people from TikTok this morning email me. Every single day I get 5 to 10 emails from TikTok.
That's
every
amazing.
Single day. Yep.
Oh, shoot. I wish
a
I
lot.
could do that for my freelance business.
Right. It's a great generator. So I hope it doesn't go away. I hope it keeps continuing. I hope there's a new S1Ep13 from Texas. She's an agent too. She just got started. So she and I were chatting the other day. I didn't know her till last weekend. So and that's what's fun too, is you're sharing with other agents. Because it's a huge world out there with Medicare. This is not like, oh, only 2 agents can do TikTok. It's like, no, it's go for it. And she's doing really well. I think she'll ultimately, do well too. She's got a huge following on YouTube.
Yeah.
So you can convert those people. So it's kind of fun just talking shop about that stuff.
So I know we had kind of already briefly touched on this a little bit ago, but what did you think when you first started using TikTok for your business? And did you think that it was actually going to bring you the success that you're seeing today?
No, I didn't. I didn't. I guess I didn't know what to expect, truly. I didn't have any problem trying it. And I do a lot of webinars and I don't mind, being out there and saying whatever, that kind of stuff. So that didn't hold me back at all. I just didn't know what to expect of the platform. And then and I knew when the first one went viral, it was a really weird thing. I just remember posting it and I remember, I don't know, refreshing 10 minutes later and it's like there's, 8,000 views. And I'm like, wait a second, this is kind of weird. So then that was fun. That became a game, like, oh my gosh. And then it is one goes and then you've got 20,000 followers. So it's really funny. And then it's just the whole algorithm of and figuring out, that's what's fun too, is figuring out what does well, what doesn't do well.
Yeah.
And, your headlines and this and anything on Medicare Advantage does well and everything does on, the scare tactic, all that kind of stuff. So, we try and just give everything straight consumer stuff. And I do find with my channel, at least, people really appreciate, I hear a lot of, you're the only honest agent we think is out there, which isn't true, but that's what they think of me. So that's great. So then I have that extend to my whole business, which is nice. So then they are calling us. They, you know what I mean? They feel open enough to call. So that's nice to get that across. You have to be careful how you're presenting yourself because that
you're
will
showcasing your personal brand.
You are.
Yes.
And your business brand beyond your personal brand as a business. Yes. And you've got to be okay being that spokesperson-y person. Some people aren't. And if you're a real stuffy organization and you present in a stuffy manner, that's how it's gonna come across. And that's okay if that's what you want, but sometimes your clientele are gonna match what you're putting out there. So, and then I do a lot of just, email me, and I put the email address right up there and they listen, and then, you get 20 emails. So, but you got to respond to the emails too.
Yeah.
You can't just cultivate things and then disappear.
Yeah.
And that's part of our industry too, is people just, disappear. So if you're not doing a good job and following through, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
So
one of the things that we had talked about on a previous episode with another agent was that it's very interesting to see the generational differences as far as social media engagement. So we've been finding that people that are anywhere between the ages of like maybe 45 all the way up to maybe like even 70 are the people that are really engaging with social media content in ways that aren't always super negative. They're leaving comments, they have questions, and they're not afraid to give you their opinion. Whereas, younger generations, maybe even like the millennial generation, we're all on social media. We're on every single platform. We don't engage with content the same way that the older generations do. And then there's an even bigger shift in Gen Z engagement as well, because, obviously as kids and teenagers, they're going to engage with the content, but they're not going to be very nice about it. They can tend to be pretty harsh in terms of whatever comments that they are leaving. So it's very interesting to kind of see how the different platforms work with different audiences and how they engage with content. And that if you do want people to engage with you, you have to ask them to do it. Like, hey, comment down below if you have any questions. Hey, email us if you have questions about Medicare. Follow. You're always giving some sort of call to action that involves engagement at the end of your videos, which is something that's very important. And I'm like, yes, Joanne understands.
Well, you want the feedback, you want the interaction. Just if I put something out there that I might think, just like, what do you think? Put your comments below, kind of thing. Follow for more stuff. But absolutely, because if you're doing it, I'm not doing it for, I am doing it for work, right? To cultivate new business, right? At the end of the day, I don't need to go entertain myself by being there every day, but it's a driver of business, and it works, and maybe it's short-lived, maybe it's long-lived, who knows? But I have found it just to be, like I said, a great way to teach. And so now every time I go on a webinar, I can say, look, I teach on TikTok. So have your clients go to TikTok. So they all come. And you also have to know Medicare enough to have content. That's another side of it too. So if you're a brand new agent, it might not be as easy for you to get on their Bible about Medicare every day. And we're always trying to do things that are helpful to the consumer. I'm always trying to look at their angle, because they want something beneficial. It's even, I think today's, and I'm a little bit like this with, and that's what I like about TikTok, is kind of the ADHD angle to it. Yeah. It's like a quick hit on something else. When I look at a YouTube video and it's going to be 48 minutes, I kind of like, oh my
goodness, yes.
Right. So therefore, I'm a little like that TikTok, mentality. But then therefore, at the end of 3 minutes, and I've listened to plenty where it's just like, oh, that was stupid. Swipe. Right. Yeah. So I want ours to give them something. Yeah. Of typically beneficial, or it's a new story, or something that they walk away with, like, oh, she's kind of cool. Yeah. And then I might call, and then they share. And I had a lady from Chicago last week. It was pretty funny. She called, and I called her back, and she said, well, my friends, I actually introduced my friends to you, and I saw you on TikTok, and I told Susan about you, and Susan and her husband are working with you, I think, too. And I'm like, that name doesn't sound familiar. So let me look it up. I'm like, oh, she's working with my daughter. And I'm like, do they like her? So she's like, oh, they love her. I'm like, okay, good. Just checking there. And we just had this funny conversation. And so then she's going to go, well, I'm going to go back to Susan and tell her what else I learned. And so it's just funny, right? Yeah. That's how it just keeps growing. And then you realize your company name is with 3 more people in Chicago, who then tell 10 more people, and then share the TikToks, and there's just no end to what you can do, and that's free
because it's global,
it's global.
That's the beauty of the internet and digital marketing, is that you can reach people in so many different places. And that's another reason why I think it's also really important too for agents to, if they are expecting to go digital and have their business online, is to make sure that they're licensed in the appropriate states that they want to sell products in. Because I mean, because you said that you've experienced a little bit of that as well.
or find a referral partner that you can work with. Now, we've got Charlie's agency in Missouri, and so he covers 49 states. So the ones we don't, they go right to Charlie. And we set it up with, we use Jot Forms to do this, where it just comes in, the lead comes in, Charlie gets a copy, I get a copy. So then the person knows I'm referring. I said, look, we're referring to somebody like-minded, just like us. Everybody loves them. And sometimes I'll even do a TikTok about Charlie's agency, and I joke, like, I'm advertising for you on TikTok. And he gets extra business, and we have an arrangement. You know, he does stuff for us, but it's really funny. But I have a call coming up in 2 weeks with a guy who lives in Thailand. Speaking of global.
Yeah.
So he lives partially in Thailand and partially Georgia. So he needs a supplement and drug plan. And he wants, so we have a phone call set up at 8 o'clock my time, 7 a.m. his time.
That's
so,
awesome.
So you don't know where people are
Yeah.
and what their situation is. So
because
it's
there might
really
be people
crazy.
that are U.S. citizens, but they're living abroad for whatever reason, either whether it's for work or whether they just maybe they have a remote job and they just travel all the time.
Right.
And so maybe then they're still in need of maybe that supplemental insurance because, because Medicare Advantage is
It's not going to work over there, but still they need it while he's here. But it's just interesting that, like, I would never have the opportunity to come across that person.
Yeah.
If it weren't for TikTok.
Exactly.
Or YouTube or whatever. So whatever your social media platform is, it does work. No doubt.
So what is your approach to utilizing TikTok for reaching new audiences? And then what is that strategy like?
It's really more of the same, and promoting the TikTok with our other brands, if you will, the YouTube and the podcast and things like that. So everything we have that goes out to the consumer, and we do all our stuff. I will tell you a little bit selfishly as an agency. When you talk about from a business perspective, I want the consumer to call us. We're not calling them; they're calling us. It's inbound. They want to talk to us. And we want them as educated as they can be when they get on the phone with us. We do everything with scheduled phone calls. So they can get on our website, they can pick at 3 o'clock with Carol, but when they get on that phone, we love the fact that I've already watched the videos. Yep, I've already heard Joanna TikTok. I know exactly what I want. Yeah. That is the best client in the world, right?
Oh, 100%.
Yes.
That's one of the things I'm trying to kind of even help our agents that are maybe on our social media marketing programs, is that it's all about the inbound lead generation. There are so many times where agents will complain, like, I spent like $3,000 on this lead drop. I didn't get a single lead out of it. Like, oh my goodness, like, what am I going to do? And it's like, well, yeah, because that's all outbound. And those are not high quality leads. Like, granted, these are people that maybe have reached out for Medicare information, but they don't, sometimes most of those people don't even know that they even, put out their information out there. So, and then of course nobody answers the phone. And then if you're spending $3,000 on the actual lead list and then another $5,000 to do mailers, it's like you're spending $8,000 to maybe get back nothing. And it's kind of a gamble. Mm-hmm. It's like, if I were to tell you, like, oh, I'm going to the casino today with $8,000, like, do you think that I'm going to make my return on investment? People would be like, probably not. And it's like, well, so you're doing the same thing when you're doing a lead drop.
Yes. And we've had some opportunities to have leads from a carrier, right? And no cost. And we try them, and after 5, and there's no way. We're done. Yeah. Take us off the program. We don't want anything to do with it. So, and I know agents love to get any kind of free lead, but I just can't stand it. Because we just don't do outbound. We just don't. So to cultivate the inbound is huge, and it takes time. We didn't have all these leads day one, right? Yeah. But it takes time, and it takes, the strategy of putting it all together, using your social media stuff is what agents should be coming to you for, to put the whole package together, because and you got to put in the work and the time and the free sweat and equity and all that kind of stuff. But if anyone says it doesn't work, they're absolutely not telling you the truth, because it totally works.
Either that or they just weren't trying long enough.
Or they gave up, like you said in the beginning, though. Consistency too. I've been doing this now since last June. Yeah. Every single day since last June. And then you have to get smarter. Like, I went to, Canada for vacation for a week. So, all right, you have maybe 30 videos on draft. Yeah. Ready to launch. And I was recording live even from Canada. So, you just get it done. If it's a priority, you're going to get it done. You know? So it worked. It works.
You have to make it part of your everyday routine. I mean, even in my own personal life, I use TikTok to promote my freelance makeup artistry business. But even for me, like, as a digital marketer myself, there are even times where I get really overwhelmed with social media, because of course it's my full-time job, but then it's like I go home and I want to be able to continue to do these things. But sometimes I'm just so burnt out that I just don't want to do it. But then whenever I do kind of get that creative sort of burst of energy, that's when I'll kind of do maybe about 10 to 12 videos in a single day. And then I'll just save them all to my drafts, and then I'll post like maybe one a day, because at the end of the day, I don't want people to think of me as a content creator. That's not what I'm here for. I'm here to showcase my personal brand of my business. I don't want to be known as one thing, I want to be known as another.
Right, but your job is you're coaching the agents
Yeah.
how to get their stuff done too, which is a huge
Yeah.
benefit, and people should listen to that. But it does take a lot of, and I agree with the burst thing, because I'll have like, okay, I've got 10 ideas in my head, and I have to just write down notes all the time too. I've got little stickies.
Yeah.
You know, what TikTok ideas, right? And you don't need much. You can do 30 seconds. And some of those are more popular even than the long ones.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, to get someone to sit through 3 or 4 or 5 minutes is not that easy. But I like having all types. So, you know, I've played with YouTube Shorts. You know, we're going to start, Cameron's going to start doing that. I just started Instagram Reels because, of course, oh my God, if TikTok goes away kind of thing, what are you going to do? But we'll figure it out. There's so many places you can go into. So, you know, it all works out. It's just fine.
And the cool thing too about the Reels that you just brought up is that if you have an Instagram account that's linked to your Facebook business account, you can post your Reel to Instagram, and then it will also post it to Facebook Reels as well. So it's like killing two birds with one stone. One thing I have heard a couple times from a couple of different content creators and social media marketing experts is that, so Instagram and Facebook are obviously their own business separate from TikTok. You know, each social media platform is kind of owned by its own company, except for Facebook and Instagram, which are both owned by Meta. So what Facebook and Meta don't want to promote TikTok's content.
Exactly.
Right? So they want to only be able to promote content that other users are creating within those platforms. But obviously, in order to do that would take, you know, obviously double the amount of time, because then you're having to recreate something that you have from TikTok. So instead, you should upload your video to this website called, I think it's called snaptik.app, snaptik.app. And then you can upload the TikTok URL to the little download bar, and then it'll download the video without the TikTok watermark. And then you can upload that to Facebook Reels and have it post to Facebook and Instagram Reels at the same time. And then it'll perform a little bit better.
Right. There's a couple other ones like that, because I've heard the same thing. And same with YouTube. I mean, they don't want to advertise Meta. You know what I mean? Everyone's sort of.
Yeah.
Which I get it. It makes sense. But then we've also toyed with some of the services where you can put one video in and it's supposed to push them all out. A little bit like, what was that old one that did that?
Like a CRM.
Like an owl. No, I had an owl.
Sweet.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Same concept, but I didn't find they worked. You know, you can see lesser traffic. So instead of trying to hit every single one of them, it's like just kind of pick the one that you're comfortable with. Yeah. Right. And I'm comfortable at this point, very comfortable with TikTok. So it's like, well, I guess until it blows up, I'm just going to do TikTok. And Cameron's got shorts covered, and we got enough going on, so it's fine. But yeah, it's very entertaining. I find it very entertaining, actually.
Oh, yeah. There are days where I'll be sitting there on the couch just like scrolling through TikTok. And my husband's like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "I'm on TikTok." He refuses to download it on his phone because he's concerned about privacy issues. Right. But he has the app on our smart TV, so that's how he'll kind of scroll through there. But because it doesn't collect any user data, it also doesn't have a targeted algorithm on the TV either. So every now and again, he'll get videos about Japanese housewares, which if you've ever watched those videos on TikTok, I could watch them for hours because it's so cool. The type of things that they have over there that are like space saving, like they've got like little mini washing machines for like your socks and underwear or something. And I'm like, that is so cool.
That's the stuff that's like a rabbit hole when you get in there. And like you said, they do know, like, if you're looking at a house decorating, it's like they all start coming up. And it's tacos. We're making like San Diego birria tacos. So all of a sudden I've got 50,000 of those. So it's really funny. And but it's super helpful too. I've got great recipes from there. I've got sorts of stuff. And I don't know. I find the whole thing pretty fascinating. And at this point, I just think everybody has their data. So it's like, whatever, it's my own personal thing. Like, whatever.
There were tons of comments that were made by parents for a couple of months too, where they were like, "Oh, well, my kid's been watching this or that on TikTok and I don't approve of this," and yada, yada, yada. And I guess there was some study that had gone out where there were like a couple of adults that had started TikTok accounts, and they would go out and search for more explicit content and then just be like, "Oh yeah, see, the TikTok algorithm is recommending." I'm like, well, yeah, I mean,
you're searching it out.
You're seeking it out. I mean, like, don't be surprised that you step in dog poop if you go out looking for it. Like, hello. So, like, it's the same way if you're using it for more positive reasons too. If you're seeking out information on Medicare, you're going to get more Medicare related information.
Right.
But it's really about not necessarily trying to go viral, but by staying consistent enough, by providing great information, educating your audience, because it's crazy to think that in the 21st century and in this digital age that we don't already know everything. You know, I think there's going to come a time where we're just going to like have an upload link in like to our brains, you know, to be able to have all the information downloaded to our minds every day. But
yeah, there's no reason you can't know everything, you know, a lot of stuff about what your topic you're looking for.
Yeah.
And that's what we tell the consumer. Like I said, there's no reason you can't learn Medicare by yourself without an agent hounding you. You can do it all on social media.
Yeah.
And if you don't believe one source, go to the next, compare 8 sources.
Yeah.
I don't care. But it is an absolutely fabulous way to learn. And they are taking heed of that. And man, they're learning and they're signing up, you know? So at the end of the day, it turns into business.
Yeah, because you've now at this point, because you've done so much educating and because now your audience does feel like they have a relationship with you, even though they've never met you in real life. I mean, shoot, this is the first time we're meeting in real life, but I feel like I already know you.
Exactly.
So by the time that they actually are either in your office or you're on the phone, maybe you're doing a Zoom meeting and then you're filling out their application or their enrollment, they already feel like they know you and they trust you. So because you've built that relationship of trust and rapport because you've been honest, you've educated them, you've either encouraged them or even entertained them. And that's something that a lot of people look for when we're on social media.
That's it. Easy peasy.
Oh, yeah. So what is your strategy for using descriptions, hashtags, location tags, or even captions in order to help you grow your platform?
Yeah, the captions, I try and think twice a little bit about the headline, try and make it simple. I keep Medicare in the headline just about every single time. And I always use an icon or a picture, I guess, for the follow thing towards the end and set it the timing. I try often enough when I think about it to put the email address in there because I can always type that in and keep that banner just basically going across because that's right in front of them. And a lot of them will just, you know, get on there and actually email you. Hashtags and such, I've just got a lot of presets. It's the typical Social Security, even though we don't do Social Security, I want those people searching for Social Security to stumble on the Medicare, you know, Part B, Plan G, Medicare, all that, the traditional stuff. So probably use 10 to 15 hashtags. Now, TikTok also, I think in the last 2 months maybe have gotten to the longer descriptions. Have you noticed that? How they really, in the beginning, they were pretty short.
Yeah, you were limited to, I think it was like 160 characters or something like that. And now
like
you can write full-blown novels.
Exactly. And so what I've heard, and I kind of played with it, not very much, but the longer the better, because that's giving the search engine portion of it more chances to hit you. So you can, and I use my dictating button on the phone for that whole thing. I just talk into it and blah, 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 blah. And this is what it's about. Follow us for more. And then location, I for the longest time, I didn't have a location button on mine. So I wrote to TikTok and they just said not all accounts had that. So finally one day it showed up. So I always put Michigan because I don't want to be really tagged to my small, you know, Brighton office location where we hardly go to the office. So I want it to be just Michigan. So that helps. For a long time, I was kind of bummed because we didn't have the location on there because people didn't know where you were.
Yeah.
So I like the fact that, and I had a guy just the other day and he was kind of cute. He's like, I can't believe you don't have 1 million followers. I'm in Michigan too. So it's really cute. I'm like, I love that you're in Michigan.
Oh yeah.
And that's all. You're just interacting with these people. So I love having Michigan on there. And we'd love to have just all the business in our backyard. It's much easier as an agent, of course. So that's everything has to be consistent with those. But I don't get into the whole throwing wild hats. You know what I mean? I'm not theatrical by any means on my TikToks. They're kind of boring.
You don't have to, like, a lot of agents are like, oh, well, I don't want to get on TikTok and dance. It's like, have you seen Joanne's TikToks? She is doing no dancing.
Not dancing. People have suggested it. Some guy called my daughter and said, tell your mom if she would just dance, she'd have like a lot more followers. I'm like, well, it's never going to happen. So that's, and I just don't, it's just not me. I can't be. If you know Sylvia Gordon on there, have you ever seen her?
She's one of the Medicare, Medicare Mama.
Medicare
right?
Mama.
Yeah.
It's hilarious because she's got 300,000 followers. So she's been on it for a good year and a half prior to me. And she's got her goats on there. She's got hats. She's just crazy. So she just a different personality. And I could never do that. So I laugh and I will never be Sylvia. She will never be me. And that's okay. There's plenty of space on there for everybody. So it's pretty funny. But
I'm glad that you brought that up because I think that kind of ties in a lot to the personal brand as well. When people see you online, this is kind of like who they expect you to be in real life as well. I mean, if you were on TikTok, like bouncing off the walls, dancing, doing whatever, and then in real life, you're just this very like chill, laid back kind of person. They're like, wait, what? It doesn't like.
Well, then
match.
it's theater.
Yeah.
Then it's not because I'm just an extension of me on there. People actually think I'm extroverted. I'm really pretty not I'm in more of an introvert, you know, like I just shut down at 6 o'clock. I don't want to talk to anybody. But I can go talk to a wall about Medicare all day long and do whatever webinars that would just kind of wind me up and point me in the right direction. So that's my TikTok thing. And I don't mind sharing, you know, some of my granddaughter's on it. Like she's been on 2 only. I don't like use her as bait to put her out there either, you know, so, I'll share to some degree, but yeah, I'm kind of cautious in what I say too, because you don't want some stalker showing up in your driveway.
Yeah, that'd be no bueno. I think that I'm very glad that you also brought that up as well, is that you share a little bit more about your personal life as well, but you're very careful not to share like too much, because obviously, there are still privacy concerns too, and especially when it comes to kids as well.
Exactly.
And especially like non-consenting children too, because there's so much, you know, danger that's out there in releasing our children's images out there on the internet, because you never know who's on the other end of the screen. So, but it's very important for agents to, at least when they're using social media, to share a little bit of their personal life, to be relatable, even if it is your business account, just showing a little bit more about who you are, what you do, and how what you do provides value, but also just showing people that you're not a robot.
Right. You're a human, but just be cautious and sensible. Absolutely.
Like, just make educated decisions, be smart, you know, obviously don't be, you know, putting too much out there. But I mean, I've had people ask me before, like, oh, you should do a house tour. I'm like, number one, no, I'm not doing a house tour, because my house is nothing to show off. Number one. Number two, it's like, why would you want to say a house tour? Okay? And number three, I'm really concerned about people understanding the layout of my house, because then, you know, you never know who again is on the other end of the phone, and they're like, okay, there's a window here, there's a window here, there's a door there, there's a door there. So it's like, no bueno.
We don't need to be doing that.
Yeah. Right. But so what would you say has been the best thing about using TikTok in order to generate leads?
It's just the fact that they come in.
Yeah.
That's simple. Yeah. It really is. It's like you put out, if it weren't working, I would have ditched it. You know, you got to give it a few solid months. You can't just say, I'm done. Yeah. Ours was we were lucky, pretty instantaneously successful. So that's where, you know, our whole staff was just cracking up. Yeah. And for a long time, it was just in the beginning, it was like, I got to talk to the TikTok lady. So people answering the phones were just like, oh my God, they're stuck on the TikTok lady. So we were just all laughing, and we still laugh. And what I love too about even my own personal, it's under Giordini Medicare. They don't know my name. Most of them do not know my name. So they can't call and ask for me. They have no idea if it's Carol or me or Allie, or, you know, they have no idea. So I love that. It worked. And it was just, you know, I'm sure part of it was dumb luck to some degree, and the consistency, but I just love that it works. And if it just stopped working someday, then so what? We had a good run, and so be it. Yeah. I do like the fact, though, too, that you bring up that consistency was a huge portion of your success, because I think that's part of any sort of recipe for success, is that you have to stay consistent to it. You have to commit to something in order to follow through to it, because if you're not, then you're kind of just at a certain point, you're just wasting your time. So completely. Yeah, because when we're thinking about educating the consumer, what is it that really goes into that? And where do you find that you get inspiration for TikTok videos? Do you find that it comes from either client questions? Oh, but I do notice too that you speak Gibberish, I'm fluent. That one of my favorite things that you do is where you reply to comments with another video, and those are my favorite videos to watch of just any creator, because it will help it a more extended reach in the algorithm, because it shows that you are engaging with another user. Right. So then when other people see that question up on the screen, they're immediately drawn to reading the question, which therefore makes them stay on the video a little bit longer, which then also increases your reach and your engagement. And then you're also creating additional content in that way as well. So it's kind of like a win-win-win-win-win. Well, then they know, the watcher then knows that you're responding to a question, so they feel more comfortable asking a question. Yeah. That's what I found. And any given day, I can just go to my inbox now and come up with 20 videos based on comments. Yeah. You know, I have some in my draft folder. One is, it was a follow-up comment that a lady asked. She said, and how do you make your money? I love answering that question. I do it a lot, you know, and I love that it's asked a lot, so I can answer that. So those are the most fun too, because you've got automatic content. So that I don't even have to think about what to write, because they've like I said, they've given it to you. They've given it to me. I know what my video is about. The other really sources are, you know, client frustration stories, like, oh my God, Social Security is a nightmare, blah, blah, blah. Great, there's a story. You know, just being on the phone, just being around the office in a day, you can come up with 15 TikToks really quickly. You just can't, because it's client stories. I do lots of client stories. Right now, it's Medigap plan rate increase time, about increases. We talk a lot about stuff. I will not denigrate a carrier, you know, but we talk about things that maybe the carriers don't even like. me talking about it sometimes. And we just talked the other day about closed book and open book business. I'm sure they don't want everybody knowing that, but it's a fact of the industry.
Yeah.
So,
and it's not like it's information that you're not allowed to talk about. And I think that that's another reason why a lot of agents are really afraid of using social media platforms. Yes, is because of compliance.
Yes.
But as long as you're not talking about plan specific. Pricing specific,
right?
You're allowed. I tell agents all the time. I'm like, if you need inspiration for content or for a video or something, go to Medicare.gov, go to Medicaid.gov.
Absolutely.
Any sort of information that is a government-sponsored internet source or platform, you are allowed to talk about. Literally, I don't care if you're reading straight from Medicare.gov while you're recording it on your phone screen. It's all free game. You're allowed to talk about that.
Right. And same with the closed open book kind of stuff. We culled the internet. It's all out there on the internet. There's the carriers make filings with every state they're in, so those filings are public.
Yeah.
Cameron's really, really good with Google. Really good. So we have just it's just stuff that we come up with, and I don't mind sharing it if we find something bad about, or if somebody asks about a carrier, I might just say no comment. That's it. My comment is no comment. So that says a lot, I know, but that's no comment. So, so it's, I think that also just kind of the feedback leads to, you're honest, you're not trying to sell us, blah, blah, blah. And that is, we've always been like that. And we're not trying to sell you. We want you to want to work with us. And if you don't, and I talk to you a lot about the value of working with an agent, why it's important to do that. Don't call the carrier direct. I love the carriers to some degree, and I work for them, but I don't want you calling them. You're going to get hosed, So we just tell them that. So a lot of them have no idea Medicare agents exist.
Yeah.
So start branding yourself. But yes, in the beginning, I was doing 3 posts a day. And then I went to 2. And now it's pretty much 1, but I could throw an extra one in, that kind of stuff. But
it takes a lot at first because you're really building up that platform. And then once you've kind of got it to a certain point where you're comfortable and you're really like gaining traction, you don't want to give up like too quickly and just kind of like completely stop.
No.
But a lot of it does, again, like you said, have to do with doing those 3 videos a day. And that's what I've had a lot of people tell me to do. And even when I've told Jason, he's like, oh, well, how many followers do we have on our TikTok page? And I was like, Jason, I don't think you want to know.
You were going to get 1,000, wasn't it? You're thinking by Christmas or something?
I was hoping to have like 1,000 by Christmas. We're at 107. We're growing slowly but surely. But I've also now had other projects that I've taken on now, like including the podcast, right? So, but I even told him, I was like, Jason, if you wanted me to grow our TikTok platform to like 15,000 followers, it would literally just become my full-time job, and you're not paying me for that.
Right. Well, and the other thing is, who's your audience on TikTok? Agents?
Yeah. And it's a very,
it's a very small.
Yeah. It's a very like niche audience. Now, granted, a lot of the content that we're producing for agents is more, I try to do a lot of stuff based on like marketing and lead generation.
Right. For your business though, as the agent.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So like a lot of the ones that I've been doing recently are do's and don'ts of posting videos to YouTube, because
I heard lighting. The other day I heard lighting.
Yep, and lighting. Yep. I love, as a makeup artist, I love talking about lighting because it makes it makes a huge difference.
It does.
I have so many people that are just like, oh, is this lighting good enough? And I'm just like, dude, I can't see your face. It's behind you. Like, what? How does that make any sense? They're like, oh, the room is bright. I'm like, yeah, but you want it to be on your face so people can actually see you and see what you look like.
Cameron's all over me for lighting. He's got it down. He just, here, buy this, buy the shotgun mic, get this.
Yep. That's the way to do
all my stuff, right?
Oh, there's so much information out there on like lighting and sound setups.
It's if you can get sucked into that, that's why it's your full-time job. And see, this is even my full-time job. I got other things to do.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's why TikTok is easy.
I get home most days and I'm just like, the last thing I want to do is be on my phone. But at the same time, I'm also still like, scroll.
Well, it's entertainment too at that point. So,
because sometimes you just need to get home and like veg and
it's like
out of your own
like
mind.
TV. It's no different than TV, right? Just laying on the couch with TV. So, what's the difference?
So, do you have any advice to either a brand new agent in the field or even a seasoned agent that might want to use TikTok in order to market themselves?
A lot of what we've talked, just recapping, I guess, what we've talked about. Pick your messaging. New agents. Jeez, just go follow anybody on Medicare. Search Medicare on there and just follow every single one of them. And that's how you're going to learn. And then the seasoned ones, if you really want to, throw something at it to get customers, then you've got to be consistent. You got to be on. You got to, be a little good with your lighting and things, not crazy, but you do have to. I've seen some that are just really, really bad. It's just not going to work. I would just kind of say, just decide if you want to do it or not. If you have no interest in doing it beyond just getting customers, then just don't bother, because you have to like doing it too, and kind of get some charge out of it. I mean, I have fun going through my comments and laughing, you
Yeah.
know. So, and if you're not like that, you know, then you shouldn't be doing it.
Yeah.
It's not going to be fun for you.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of it, is just have fun, but it'll grow if you want it to grow.
But like you said, it's all about just making sure that you're consistent, and that, like we said, you have to have a passion for it, and you have to have a passion for educating people in real life as well as digitally. I know
Right.
so many agents that are just so smart, and they have so much to share. But I'm like, why aren't you making videos about this? And they're like, I don't know how. I'm like, 60 to 90 seconds. Go through, like, here's Medicare Part A. This is what it covers. This is what Medicare Part B is. This is what it covers, and so on and so forth. I'm like, you're telling me you can't do that? Yes, you can. I feel like I'm over here like a social media cheerleader.
You are.
But I'm over here also trying to, like, those who don't do teach.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well, but your point there, you know, what does Part A cover? What does Part B cover? Some of the most remedial, basic videos do the best.
Yeah.
And I do a whiteboard. Whenever I do a whiteboard one, they love it because you're just showing A, B. It's amazing how well those do. Like, I finally understand.
Yeah.
You know, or the commentaries. So you don't have to be really advanced with us. You can truly just do the basics. And then you get a comfort level established. And then you're starting to talk about different things. And then see what happens. But you're right. You just got to start. But I think a lot of people are just afraid of putting that out, putting either themselves out there. And, you know, even if you're afraid to do a Zoom session or a webinar or, you know, speaking in public, you're like, I can't say I love it, but pre-COVID, I did it a ton. And it's a learned thing too. I think the more you do it,
Repetition is the mother of skill.
it really is, because, you know, I remember 10 years ago, I'd probably get nervous. And now it's like, I don't care. You could put 3,000 people in front of me and I'd be fine.
Yeah.
You know, so it's good for people to do that too, I think, just to kind of put yourself out there. But yeah.
Yeah. Do you find that you repost old videos that didn't perform well just to see if they'll perform better, given that it's a later date and time, or maybe it was the time of day that you posted it? Do you do that?
I have actually done the opposite, because I've always heard, supposedly, people that did it right was they used to take your most popular ones and repost those.
That
So
was gonna be my
that's
next
the one
question, is
I've
if you
done
take
that.
Yeah.
That I do, especially in a crunch where I don't have one ready for today. Then I'll launch. I'll just scroll through and get a popular one and reload it up. So that one's nice. So that's even another argument for never having an excuse to post. You can always pick an old video. So I'll have to start playing with the ones that maybe under to see. And sometimes it's just the time of day.
Yeah.
I know the one that went viral. I remember it was like 7:00, and it was like on a fly. I recorded something quickly, hit upload at an odd time, a little bit of an odd time, and then bam. So you have no idea. You have no idea what's going to catch.
I have found too that even in my own personal analytics too, is that my audience is most active between like 7 to about 9:30, 10 o'clock at night. And I was like, wow, to me that makes sense though, because then that's when people are usually like winding down for the night. They're on the couch, or like maybe they've put their kids to bed or something. And so now they're scrolling through TikTok. So once you start posting a lot of videos, after a while, because it can be really frustrating at first, because you're like, oh, I started doing TikTok and like I don't have 1 million followers yet. What's wrong?
Right.
It's like, well, number one, it doesn't work like that anymore.
Right.
It's not like, the beginning of 2020 where, there was nobody on TikTok, and maybe there were people that were scrolling, but they weren't posting.
Right.
So now those people have, like, I have a girlfriend that's got 17,000 followers on TikTok, and she's posted, I think, maybe a total of 10 videos, but it was all during the year 2020, where it was before the platform was really oversaturated with content creators.
Right.
So now the platform is more oversaturated. It's a lot harder to grow.
It is.
But as long as you're able to kind of stay consistent in that sense, and you're able to continue posting, and then after a while, those analytics will kind of start to roll in. And then that's when you're able to kind of have a better strategy for posting, because then you'll see, okay, when is my audience the most active? What are the types of videos that my audience wants to see? And then you can kind of recreate those types of videos so that then they'll give you more of what you want.
Right.
You have to focus on the things that you do want and less on the things that you don't.
Right.
If anybody has ever listened to or heard about The Secret or the Law of Attraction, and I tell you, as soon as I learned about that, my life was forever changed, because a lot of people tend to focus on the negative, and they're like, oh, well, I don't want this and I don't want that. Well, the more that you focus on the things that you don't want, the more of those things the universe is going to be like, here you go. So if you're focusing on the things that you do want, by focusing on the good educational content and more of what your audience wants to see, and more of what fuels you as a business owner, and how you can really utilize all of these different tools are at our disposal, especially free tools like social media.
Right.
And, being able to take all of this in and put it into your business, because if you're passionate about your business and if you're passionate about growing and learning and becoming successful, if you have all of that in your heart and in your mind, you will achieve success as long as you stay consistent and you work hard.
I totally agree, because when I started, the kids were laughing at me and stuff, but in the back of my head, I'm like, well, of course I can.
Yeah.
And then you do, and it works. So I never thought it was going to be unsuccessful. I just thought, let's see what happens. But I've always been that type where I don't think there's anything I can't do. So therefore, like, well, why would TikTok be different?
Yeah.
So it sounds funny to people, but my girlfriend's like, you just have this lucky star. I'm like, I think you make your lucky star, right? And just try and see what happens. It's like throwing spaghetti against the wall. I'm like, oh, what's the worst that can happen?
Yeah.
Nothing,
Exactly.
Okay. So I wasted some time. I've certainly done that before, right? So
Yeah.
So it is kind of funny. So I agree with the attitude part of it, but try it. If you hate it, stop.
Yeah.
It's that easy. So.
I always tell people too, I'm like, you have to do whatever the things in your business that bring you joy.
Yeah.
Like, for example, if you don't like making cold calls because you absolutely hate it because you feel like you're bugging someone, then don't do it. Like, and if you prefer to be out there and go to physical in-person networking groups because you like to be social and you want to actually physically meet people and talk to people, even if you're not talking directly to the consumer, you're still talking to someone who might have other connections of people that they can refer you to. And but you have to do in whatever it is in your business that makes it fun for you and that makes it worth it for you.
And I've always thought that just pick your day. How do you want your day to play out? Yeah. My day, I would absolutely hate my day if I'm cold calling. Mm-hmm. I will never call postcards. I will not go to referral group things. I'll talk to 50,000 people on TikTok, no problem. So you just structure your day. What do you want your day to look like? If it's not things you're enjoying, that is no fun. That's no fun at all. So, and everybody's different in this business, but it can be done in so many different ways. And it's a huge market, as we all know, 66 million people on Medicare, for God's sake. So it's not even competition. It's just everybody just has a different approach. And the consumer has the ability, the consumer can pick who they want to work with. How great is that?
Yeah.
Oh, I like their style. I don't really like this style. They can interview people, whatever. So there's just gobs of people and gobs of ways to do it. So, find what works.
Yeah.
That's all.
I think we talk a lot, too, on this podcast about the personal brand and how, however that you appear online and the person that you are online should be who you are in real life as well. So, like, if you are, I think Tiffany described it as like the Wolf of Wall Street kind of guy, with like the three-piece suit and just very like stiff and very businessy. It's like, if that's who you are, that's fine. And those are the clients that you want to
attract.
reach. Yeah, you want to attract those types of people that want to work with someone who's got the three-piece suit and the really nice leather briefcase and stuff like that. But if that's not you and you're I think I've used this analogy before. If you're the agent that wears the board shorts and flip-flops and is making margaritas in the kitchen with them at their kitchen table, that's fine. As long as that's who you are in real life and online as well.
Yep. Totally agree. Yeah. So, me, I'm not coming to the house that much. So I'm like, what? I got to leave the house. So
right.
I got to shower today.
We talked about putting on real people pants.
Right.
Yeah.
So, which it all works. So, yeah.
Exactly. Well, Joanne, thank you so much for being my guest today. I had so much fun talking with you about TikTok marketing and how it really can work for Medicare agents, because they think that the audience isn't there, but evidently they are, because you've got 58,000 followers. So, they're there.
They're there. It's fun. Just give it a shot.
Yeah.
Thanks. Thanks, Kelsey.
Yes, you're very welcome. And to any of you agents that are out there listening, or even if you're considering becoming an agent and you are looking for an industry partner, we here at Insurance Advisors Direct would love to be considered. You can visit our website at www.iadbrokerage.com, or you can call us toll free, 1-800-381-0977. If you are looking to listen to this podcast, or watch it, I should say, on our YouTube channel, you can view this episode on Wednesday, the day after the podcast airs on Tuesdays. And you can also subscribe to our YouTube channel and make sure to follow us on Facebook, LinkedIn, and TikTok. Thanks again, Joanne, for joining me.
Thanks.
I loved having you.
It was fun.
Good. Bye.